We're now officially a few weeks into the latest season of Succession. And while we still don't quite know how everything will end, one thing is clear. After this season, HBO will need to find a successor to Succession. But Succession is not the only show seeking a replacement for its TV slot. It seems like 2023 is the year that lots of big shows will be wrapping up, including HBO's Barry and Amazon's Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Even Apple TV's Ted Lasso is rumored to be in its final episodes. Now, I'm sure HBO, Amazon, and Apple TV already have some big, fantastic productions in the pipeline that we don't quite know about yet. But my question is, how do you even go about finding another show to succeed the critically acclaimed ones that are ending right now? The truth is, you don't, because a show is an investment, and like all investments, success is never guaranteed. Shows could be pumped full of money and still be flops. Take Amazon's Ring of Power that came out last year. The Lord of the Rings was and still is a huge franchise with an extremely committed fan base. So investing heavily in this franchise probably seemed like a no-brainer for Amazon. The entire series of Rings of Power is set to cost over $1 billion, but the first season was a complete flop. The number of viewers per episode as the season went on actually went down, with only 37% of viewers completing all episodes of that first season. A 37% completion rate is pretty bad, because for reference, Netflix usually cancels shows that have less than 50% completion rates. On the other hand, shows could have crazily small budgets and end up being an amazing investment. The first season of Doctor Who in 1963 cost £2,000 per episode to make, which, adjusted for inflation, is approximately $50,000 per episode today. And despite its decades of success, Doctor Who still maintains a modest budget today at approximately $1.5 million per episode, which is a lot smaller than most sci-fi shows currently being made for TV. All this to say that there's no one formula for success. The film and TV industry is ripe with ambiguity, and as much as HBO may have been right about the eventual success and critical acclaim of Succession, all they had to go on before greenlighting the show was Jesse Armstrong's resume of successful shows like The Thick of It and Peep Show. Risk is widespread in the industry, so how might production studios minimize risk and make better investment decisions? One word: crowdfunding. An investment strategy that's crossed over to film and TV from the entrepreneurial world is crowdfunding. And lately, there have been some great success stories. Just like for new ventures, in TV and film crowdfunding campaigns, project initiators ask for money in exchange for perks related to the project or offers of equity in the film or show. One of the most successful crowdfunding stories for TV is The Chosen, a Christian series about the retelling of the life and journey of Jesus and his disciples. The show originated from the creator Dallas Jenkins' short film called The Shepherd, which he made for his church. At about the same time, a faith-based video filtering company called VidAngel, now called Angel Studios, was going through some copyright lawsuits with big Hollywood studios, which caused them to pivot into making their own original content. So they got in touch with Dallas Jenkins to put his short film on Facebook to gauge demand. The film garnered 15 million Facebook views worldwide, proving immense audience interest. This caused VidAngel and Dallas Jenkins to invest in the show. But the problem was that they didn't have enough total capital to bring the vision to life. That was when they decided to go with a crowdfunding route to raise more capital. In their first round of fundraising, they sold equity in the franchise, providing audiences to share in the potential profits from the show. For their first season, they raised over $10.2 million from over 16,000 investors. Since then, for subsequent seasons, they used more perk-based crowdfunding incentives, like offering audiences to be extras on set, so not to continue diluting ownership. Veronica Mars is another crowdfunding success story. Fans of the show raised enough funds for a Veronica Mars movie years after the show got cancelled. The Kickstarter campaign had 91,585 donors, raising over $5.7 million. The film was fine, I guess. Not a complete flop, but at least it got produced and it made some profit. And even if it wasn't phenomenal, crowdfunding minimizes the financial burden on studios and project initiators because the investment load is shared and spread across thousands of investors. Studios also might turn away projects if they aren't sure there is enough demand, because limited audience interest also increases investment risk. Crowdfunding campaigns also test audience interest though, because it forces people to put money where their mouth is, helping to prove genuine audience demand. And if there's not enough initial support, then no money exchanges hands and the project gets scrapped before any work gets done, which further minimizes risk. So, is crowdfunding the future of funding film and TV projects? I don't necessarily think so. While crowdfunding minimizes risk by spreading the investment load, the recent success stories are specific to shows that either resonate deeply with large communities, like The Chosen, or have an existing highly committed fan base, like Veronica Mars. Still, I am excited to see what comes next for crowdfunding for film and TV. With blockchain technology and increased decentralization, the way studios look at funding for their next project could definitely change. But I highly doubt that studios would ever give up ownership of their original stories. Instead, if studios were to embrace some of the strategies within crowdfunding, my hunch is that the big studios would become curators of scripts, screenplays, and pilots. And let's say, out of the stories that have HBO's stamp of approval, audiences could opt into paying a nominal fee for early access of their chosen stories. And with a certain amount of people opting in, that could dictate the types of stories that HBO decides to invest in next. Changes like this come slowly for the film industry, but with the crowdfunding success stories that Angel Studios have had with not only The Chosen, but their animation series and comedy show, perhaps crowdfunding, or audience-led decision-making for film and TV, isn't as far off as we might think. After all, Patreon has really taken off for artists, creatives, and influencers, meaning audiences are getting more used to paying nominal amounts to support their favorite creators. But I'd love to hear what you think about crowdfunding. Leave me a comment on whether you think crowdfunding could ever take off in the film and TV industries, and also what kinds of shows and films you might fund. And as always, subscribe for more spiels in the future.